So this is your kingdom, and this is my kingdom. And when we play chess, we're going to fight. But we're not going to fight with our hands. We're not going to fight with our feet. We're going to fight with our minds and use the pieces to fight each other. All right, babe. So do you remember the last time we were talking about when you learn how to play chess, how the game starts? What do you do to start the game? It's something you do with the person you're about to play with.
Talk to each other?
Okay, what else? There was something I spoke to you about respect. And how do you show the person who you're playing with respect?
Give a handshake?
That's right. All right, so every time we start, we're going to start with the handshake. A little firmer. A little firmer. Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm Justin. All right, Addison. Okay. So, babe, let's start today. Do you remember how many squares are on the chessboard? How many?
There's 8 in a row.
8 in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So 8 times 8 is 64. So 64 squares. So you have 64 options. Right? Okay. Do you remember some of the pieces that we were going over?
Yes.
All right. So let's start going through the pieces, and I want you to tell me the name of the piece.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to put it in the middle of the board.
Pawn.
This is
Pawn.
a pawn. All right. Can you show me how the pawn moves? And tell me.
And it can only, when it's taken, it can only go diagonally.
Diagonal.
It's taken.
Perfect. But also, the pawn moves forward how many spaces? One at a time, except for
The queen.
no, the pawn moves, we're talking about the pawn, it moves one space at a time, except for the first time it moves. It can move how many spaces the first time it moves?
1.
It's a special thing. And when the pawn moves for the first time, it can move 2 spaces. But after that, it can only move 1 at a time. But if you take the first move and you only move it 1 space, it can only move 1 space at a time after that. It's only on its first time moving, it can move 2 spaces. All right? Now, remind me what I told you about the pawn. How many spaces does it move?
1.
1. But on its first move, how many spaces can it move?
2.
2. Good job.
But if it moves 2 times, it's gonna have to just do 1.
If it moves 2 spaces on the first move, after that it only moves what?
1 time.
Good job. So that's the pawn. All right. How many pawns are on the board?
8.
8. Do you remember where the pawns go? All right. So put the pawns in this position. Good job. So the pawns are all in their position. Do you remember what I called this when the pawns are in this position? What do we call it? It starts with an F. Okay, so you know, what do we have in our backyard that separates our yard from our neighbor?
Gate.
Or with the F is also known as a fence. Yes. So the pawns create the fence to protect all of the people and things in our kingdom. So this is your kingdom, and this is my kingdom. And when we play chess, we're going to fight. But we're not going to fight with our hands. We're not going to fight with our feet. We're going to fight with our minds and use the pieces to fight each other, you know? And whoever wins, wins. And guess what we get to do after? We get to shake hands and fight again. different from like if I were to punch you, that would hurt, right? You don't want to do that. But we can fight with our minds as many times as we want. And there's no harm to us. So you just built your fence with your 8 pawns, right? So now let's take the pawns off, remove your fence. We're going to talk about another piece. That's the rook. The rook, right? All right. So, do you remember how the rook moves?
Sideways?
And show me how the rook moves.
Or sideways?
Yes. How many spaces at a time?
1.
1 space?
Oh no, 2.
As many spaces as you want with the rook. The rook is powerful. The rook can move 1 space at a time, or the rook can move 3 spaces. Right? Okay. Now, do you remember where the rook is set up on your board? And how many rooks do you have?
2.
So show me the other rook and put it in place. Good job. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to move this rook. You go ahead and make a move with the rook. Move the rook. Okay, make another move with the rook. All right, make another move with the rook. Make one more move with the rook. All right, now put the rook back in its position. Now let's do the same with the other rook. Make a move with the rook. 1. Okay, make another move with the rook. All right, make another move with the rook. Good job, but make sure it's on its spot so it's clear. Make another move with the rook. Good job. Make one more move with the rook. Good job. Now put it back in this position. So we know how the rook moves, but what's another thing that happens in chess? I have a piece, you want it. What is that called when you get the piece?
Attack.
Attack. Or you're taking my piece, right? So how does the rook take?
Maybe like sideways, not like this, or like sideways.
Okay. Is it maybe or is that it?
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. So let's act like this piece is here. Here's a pawn. Take that pawn with your rook. Good job. Now take this rook with your rook. Good job. Take the bishop with the rook. Good job. Take the knight with the rook. Great job. Take this queen with the rook. Good job. Take this rook with the rook. Good job. I tried to trick you. You didn't fall for it. So we can't take this piece. Why? Because it's not in a straight line.
Or 2 steps.
Well, you could get it in 2 steps, right? But we're not there yet. We're only just working on 1 step. All right, so we know how the rook moves and we know how the rook takes. All right, so now we're gonna move on. Let's move on to
Bishop.
Bishop, Mr. Bishop, okay? Now, do you remember how the bishop moves? Diagonally, right? And whatever color the bishop starts on, that's the color it has to stay on. Not like the rook. It has to stay on. So this bishop starts on what color square?
Black.
So it has to stay on black, right? Now how many bishops do you start with? 2. So find your other bishop. Good job. Make sure it's nice on that square so I know. Now you have 1 white square bishop and 1 black square bishop. So the white square bishop stays on what color?
What?
And the black square bishop stays on what color?
Black.
Good job. Okay. So show me how the black square bishop moves. Make a move. 1. Okay. Make another move. Make another move. Now, how many squares at a time can the bishop move?
As many?
As many as it wants. So show me it moving more than just 1 square at a time. Move the black square bishop. Ooh, I like that. That was powerful, right? Because it could just shoot down. All right, so now move your white square bishop. Okay, move the white square bishop again. Move the white square bishop again, a different move. Okay, let it go, let it go. You always gotta take your hand off the piece. Move your white square bishop again. Good job. Now move the white square bishop again. Last time. Different move from last time. Good job. All right, now line your bishops back up where they're supposed to be. Perfect, okay. So now how do the bishops take? Diagonally. Okay, so let's try it. Take the pawn. Take the rook. Take the knight. Take the bishop. Take the pawn. Take the knight. Take the rook. Come on, keep going. Take the pawn. Come on, keep going. Take the knight. Make sure it's in this position. Take the rook. Come on. Take the knight. Take the pawn. Check this out, guys. Excellence requires strategy, and success requires sacrifice. That's what my father wanted me to learn when he taught me the game chess. He knew that my brother and I could be anything we wanted to in this world, as long as we used the proper strategy and had the right mindset. Because you know, like, thoughts are things. That's why here at Ottoman, we wear our thoughts on our sleeves. So if you are on your road to success, if you believe in strategy, if you believe in you, click the link below. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the pawn.
Can't do it.
Good job. All right. So we know how to take with the black square bishop. All right. So now we're going to take with the white square bishop. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the rook. Take the knight. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the knight. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take the rook.
Can't do that.
Come on, you got it, you got it. All right, put it back where it's supposed to be. All right. So we talked about the pawns. We talked about the rooks. We talked about the bishops. Okay. You know what we need to go back to? We didn't talk about taking with the pawns, okay? So let's line up your pawns. Okay. Show me how you move your pawns. All right? Okay, now move another pawn. Move another pawn. Move it, because it's the first move. Show me how it moves on. It can move on its first move. How many squares? All right, move another pawn. All right, now move the next pawn. Okay, now move the next pawn. All right, now move the next pawn. Let's go. Move the next pawn. Good job. Keep going. Move the next pawn. Good job. Move the next pawn. Okay, move another pawn. Okay, move this pawn. Move this pawn. Make sure it's neat. Move that pawn. Okay, move this pawn. Move this pawn. Move this pawn. Move this pawn. Okay, now show me how the pawn takes. I put this pawn here. Good job. Now, let's back it up. How many pawns can take this pawn? How many of your pawns can take this one pawn? Show me one option. Good job. All right. Now take this same pawn with a different pawn. Good job. All right. So take this pawn. All right. Take the knight. Take the rook. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. Take that pawn. No. Pawns don't move back. No. Take this pawn. Take this pawn with your pawns. You're black. Good job. Take this knight. Good job. Take the rook. Why not? Good job. So if it was here, could you take it?
Yes.
All right, take it. Okay. Take this pawn.
Can't do that.
Why not? Is there a pawn that could take it?
Oh.
Good job. Good job. Take the rook. Good job. Now take the knight. Now can the pawn move more than one step at a time? More than one square? So was that okay? All right, so let's go back. Take the rook. Take the knight. Can the pawn move backwards? No. Just because you want it doesn't mean you can get it. Now you always have an option. When I say take something, you either take it or you tell me if it can't be taken. Can't be taken. All right, you put the knight somewhere it can be taken. Let's try that. Good job. You can only move one step at a time. Good. Okay. Set up your fence one more time. Let me see you set up your fence. Good job. So we went over the pawns. We have the rooks. We did the bishops. Did we do the knight yet?
No.